Let It Snow. Weekly Reader News talks to an award-winning snowflake expert. Most people stay indoors during a snowstorm, but Kenneth LeBrecq is not most people. When flurries start drifting down from the sky, the scientist heads out into the cold. He takes his camera with him. Outside, LeBrecq waits for snowflakes that are just right. Finally, he spots the glittery ice crystals he's been waiting for. As the snowflakes fall, LeBrecq catches them. Then he points his camera and shoots. Wow, look at the snowflake. And then the caption beneath says, Kenneth LeBrecq. LeBrecq caught these cool crystals on camera. The scientist's shiny snapshots recently earned him an award. The award is given to top science photographers around the world. LeBrecq takes pictures of snowflakes to learn more about their shapes. The crystals form when water vapor or steam in a cloud freezes. Every snowflake grows into a hexagon. That is a six-sided shape. However, no two snowflakes look the same. Experts are not sure why. To solve the mystery, LeBrecq has traveled to snowy places around the world. He has taken pictures of snowflakes in Canada, Alaska, and Vermont. He takes his research back to his science lab that is in California. Now, if I take my pen and I underline, of course, I like the verb where it's had start drift. I like drifting or saying drift as a verb. I like the glittery ice crystals. There were two different instances where there were a use of alliteration right here, six-sided shape. And not only that, we took six and sided and turned it into a hyphenated adjective. Another piece of alliteration in this piece of nonfiction is where scientist shiny snapshots. And I'm sure as you're reading this, the first person who comes to mind would be Snowflake Bentley from last week's reading. LeBrecq has collected nearly 10,000 snowflake images or pictures. He spends most of the winter studying them. The scientist's outdoor adventures are far from over, though. LeBrecq continues to journey to other snowy places to take more pictures. In my brain, I'm wondering, what does he discover about snowflakes? What would knowing why each snowflake is different, what is that going to prove? Is it going to help with any kind of environmental discovery? That's what's going through my mind right now. And I'm starting on the second paragraph with a quote. I really enjoy watching the snow fall and trying to see what I can find, he told Weekly Reader News. It's a bit of a treasure hunt. So definitely interesting. So he's definitely interested in this, and that's what drives him. Meet the Snowman. Read to learn about scientist Kenneth LeBrecq's snowy side. And of course, there's a picture of him. And you can see with this little paintbrush, I don't know if that's the scientific term, but he uses some kind of paintbrush. Weekly Reader News. How do you take pictures of snowflakes? Kenneth LeBrecq answers. When I find a good one, I'll catch it using a little paintbrush. I then stick it under my microscope and take a picture. Weekly Reader News. What advice do you have for kids who want to study snowflakes? LeBrecq answers. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment. With a simple magnifying glass on a snowy day, you can really see quite a bit if you just stop and look. What I really like about this passage is the fact that this is something he enjoys doing, and he's found a way to make it relevant, and he's found a way to make a career. Let's look at the multiple choice questions. They seem quite easy, but sometimes when we look at multiple choice questions, we get caught between some answers which may be similar or could possibly be the answer. So let's see if we can try to determine which answers are correct. Number 1, what does Lebrecq use a paintbrush for when he is photographing snowflakes? A, he uses a paintbrush to paint snowflakes. B, he uses a paintbrush to make snow shapes. C, he uses a paintbrush to catch snowflakes. D, he uses a paintbrush to draw on his camera. One of the first mistakes students make when they are answering multiple choice questions is students will sometimes read one or two choices. They think they find the right answer and they don't read all four, because sometimes once you read all four, you're like, wait a minute, this third answer sounds better. So if we go back to the second page of the article where Weekly Reader interviews Lebrecq, he talks about C. He uses a paintbrush to catch snowflakes. Number 2, what does the text describe? And keep in mind, this is an informational text about Lebrecq, and it's giving some reflection on how he catches snowflakes. What does the text describe? A, how images are captured by cameras, how a snowflake forms, Lebrecq's education, or different examples of science photography. While all of those are important, and while some may come up at different times within the text, what we want to do is, we know that it's not different examples of science photography. It really doesn't go into what Lebrecq did to become this snowflake scientist, so we can eliminate that. How a snowflake forms, how images are captured by cameras. Well, an A does tell us how he uses a microscope and the paintbrush to capture, but the main part of the article, or the purpose of the article, is to tell us how a snowflake forms. B. Number 3. Weekly Reader News asked Kenneth Lebrecq what advice he has for kids who want to study snowflakes. This was his reply. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment. With a simple magnifying glass, on a snowy day, you can really see quite a bit if you just stop and look. Based on his reply, what might Lebrecq think about studying snowflakes? A, he thinks it is a mysterious experience. Well, he seems to think that because he's been doing it a long time. He thinks it is a boring experience. Okay, we can eliminate that one. B. Having trouble with getting B. There we go. So we know it's not B. He thinks it is relatively easy. Okay, well, he's saying words like simple. If you just stop and look, see, looks pretty good. He thinks it is relatively hard. Okay, so we can eliminate that. Now, A, he thinks it is a mysterious experience. We get that, but from that specific quote, I would say C, he thinks it is relatively easy. Number 4, reading the following quote from Kenneth Lebrecq. I really enjoy watching the snow fall and trying to see what I can find. It's a bit of a treasure hunt. Why does Kenneth Lebrecq use the phrase treasure hunt? A, to suggest he is looking for something hidden, possibly. B, to suggest he is searching for something valuable. Well, he seems to think it's valuable. C, to suggest he wants to find snowflakes made of gold. Well, no, we can eliminate that one. To suggest he just really enjoys what he does. Okay, so let's go back. He uses the phrase treasure hunt. A, to suggest he is looking for something hidden. That's close because you have to take a magnifying glass and you have to look really, really close. So let's go back to the quote. I really enjoy watching the snow fall and trying to see what I can find. See, that's a clue there. It's a bit of a treasure hunt. To suggest he is looking for something hidden. To suggest he is searching for something valuable. Well, maybe in his eyes, but definitely not gold or valuable. So let's look at D. To suggest he just really enjoys what he does. I agree with D, but from the point of view of that quote, A. And especially going back to this part of the quote to see what I can find, it's a bit of a treasure hunt. A is the best answer because to suggest he is looking for something hidden and he's going to unlock the mysteries of this hexagon. Number 5, the primary purpose of this passage is to describe A, the work of a scientist who studies snowflakes, B, the reasons that no two snowflakes look alike, C, the places around the world with the most snow, D, the best pictures ever taken of snowflakes. Definitely A could be the answer. B, the reasons that no two snowflakes look alike. Well, they talk about that, but they don't give us any reasons. The places around the world with the most snow. He talked about some of the places he goes, but that's not what the primary purpose of this passage. The best pictures ever taken of snowflakes. So let's look at A and D. The primary purpose. The work of a scientist who studies snowflakes are the best pictures ever taken of snowflakes. Well, they never put his pictures on like a judging or contest or looking to rank them, but it's an interview with Lebrecht, the scientist. So the best answer would be A, the work of a scientist who studies snowflakes. So as you can see, with a fairly simple passage, with fairly simple questions, if you're looking at multiple choices, it can get a bit blurry because you will have some answers that are similar. That's why it's important to, 1, read every one of the choices that are offered. 2, use what we call process of elimination and eliminate the ones you know it absolutely can't be. Look at the 2 answers you have left. Reread that section to find out the best answer, because in the case of number 4, I was waffling a bit. When I went back and read the quote and I found the words, and I'm going to underline them in black this time, trying to see what I can find, that was my clue. But that took me, a few seconds to go back through my choices, reread, to come to that conclusion. It wasn't just right in front of my face. So be sure to remember these things. Read all the answer choices, use process of elimination, reread the quotes given to you, and pick the best answer.